Good evening. We have another lecture for you today. I'd like you to listen to it closely. I don't want to upset anyone, but yet I got to tell the truth. And we got to talk about some things that normally our black family don't talk about and our white families don't talk about. We need to talk about the things, the truthism that God have in His Bible stored for this nation. It's very important. The name of this lecture is Black Wall Street 2020s, 30s, and 40s. Okay, I was going to put and beyond, but I just put 20s, 30s, and 40s for now. Okay, Black Wall Street 20s, 30s, and 40s. Okay, anybody ever read about Black Wall Street? They'll know that that was a booming town. Greenland, Greensville, something like that. That was a booming town for black folks back in the 20s, around 1920, 21. Okay, if you haven't read about it, please go and read about it. Okay, so you'll know what was going on. Black folks were very prosperous. Okay, they knew how to use their skills and to be business peoples and a community. They built a community, and that community in Tulsa, Oklahoma area was booming. You had one of the renowned doctors there, black doctors, who was a renowned surgeon. You had bankers, you had politicians, you had, you had people owning movie theaters, grocery store, you name it. Anything that will accommodate the life of black peoples and prosperity, it was there. Okay, since that time, there have not been a remake of Black Wall Street, and it's long overdue. But now, when we focus on that time and this time, it's not one city should be made out of Black Wall Street. It should be many cities. That's why you will hear me talk about Black Wall Street, because it's time for the black man to realize who he is and what God have in store for him. The 400 years is over with, my people. It's time to move ahead in this 30 years, this Joshua era. It's 30 years that God have given to you to pull yourself out of this condition. You are more likely worried about a Eurocentric democracy when God is asking for a theocracy. And we got to change this. We got to change our attitude toward ourselves, first of all, and then toward our reason of being. We need to change that attitude so we can understand what it means by when the Egyptians say, man, know thyself. You'll know who you really are and what you're supposed to be accomplishing. It's very important now. Now, we're going to start with Exodus. Exodus 3, 9 through 10. Chapter 3, verse 9 to 10. Now, therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me. And I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptian, which is modern day America, oppressed them. Now, I'm going to talk very little about this here right here because I want to move on. It's points I want you to see in this lecture. Okay, now, you have to ask yourself, because African Americans and whites who choose to be a part of what black folks' religious views are, if you choose to be a part of that, you are included in that. If you believe in the Bible the right way, I'm going to say it like this here, you are included in there. Because this Bible talk about a move that must happen in the midst of the Negroes in America. And that move is a move that's not only about Negroes, it's about everybody. You got to get the black man right or the Negro right before you could get America back right. America got a long ways to go. See, America under that 400 years, America have walked in the shadows of Jezebel, in the shadow of the 450 prophets of Baal, in the shadow of the prophets of the grove. See, if you look at my last lecture, you understand what that means, and you'll see the direction that America have went for a little 400 years right now. But see, they don't want to say that and don't want to see themselves like that. But history bears it out. See, you ain't got to say who you are. You keep living and people look at your past and they know who you are without you saying anything, because you live in your actions of your personality. And that's what America have been. Now let's look at this. I'm going to go a little further, then I'm going to come back to that person. Exodus 3:10. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh. Now, who is Pharaoh? Last week we talked about who he is. He is the one that known as Ahab. He is the one that known as Uncle Sam. Thought thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt, which is America. This book was sent to America. The United States of America have portrayed itself as being as of Egypt. It had the Africa. It have its laws. It used the sacred science of the Egyptian to build itself. It used the arts to build itself. It used that what we call, some people call it the Star of David, but it's the Egyptian star. And that art based around that to build itself. And must understand now that art could be used for good and for evil. So don't look at it all bad, because it could be used both ways. America happened to spin that wheel and use it in a bad way because it forgot the commandments of God. It forgot every 50 years there must be a jubilee. And America had overlooked that for 8 jubilees, 400 years. We must look at this thing the right way, people, and understand what the Word of God is trying to say to His people. It's very important. Now, the black family are pioneers, okay? The new Israel. See, you are the new Israel. You are Israel. And the Bible and God want you to understand who you are, black family. See, America sees itself as a whole. Founding fathers and stuff of knowing the art, they see themselves as Israel, okay? But they're not Israel, although they claim to be Israel. See, when the Jews came over here and they was kicked out of Spain, etc., they looked at themselves as Israel. So they came over here and helped shape America, Israel. But that was known in the sacred order. It wasn't known to everybody. Now we open the knowledge of the order by understanding the translation, the true translation of the Bible. Through understanding the true translation, it exposed that in those orders to be understood for what they are really all about. And you need to see that. Now, let's go on. Okay. The black family are pioneers. Now, what the black family have not understood, they have not understood the knowledge of the philosophy of the carrying of the cross. The Eurocentric man understood that from the ancient Egyptians. And that knowledge was placed in the Satarian. It was passed on to the Holy Bible. And it brought itself to this nation, the United States of America. And on these shores, the arts have been practiced on you. And because they didn't tell you what the arts was, and we know the history, blacks wasn't allowed to read. But what they don't tell you very often is whites wasn't allowed to read this book neither. Only the aristocrats. And they had to make changes in this book so they could give it to the common white folks later on. And then after blacks came out of a certain level of slavery, charter slavery, then they gave them through the AME church and other ones, they gave them ability to read this book as well. But they did not give them any keys. And this is the misconception that black folks and black preachers and white folks and white preachers who are not part of the order think they know this book. But it's sad to say, sadly mistaken, you don't know the book. Now, most people don't like that. But I told you I won't lie to you. Black folks, if you haven't learned what this book is really all about and no one came and taught you the truth-ism, you do not know what this book is about. If you see this book as a book that you can take all over the world, okay, and tell these stories as they are written in the literal, you don't know what this book is all about. This is a coded book, my people. Now, I know you done had it by your bedside. You done took it in Sunday school. You even have cases where you hold it on your side and walk with it. And who is this Negro telling me I don't know this word of God? I'm a messenger. And it's time for me to act like who I am. I'm going to tell you the truth. You may not like it. And it's going to be some lecture. You may not like nothing I have to say. But one thing about it, if God is in your heart, if the true God is in your soul, you're going to listen. But if he ain't, you're going to be like the prophets of Baal and the peoples in the atmosphere of Baal. See, I'm not come to tell everybody to follow me. I'm like Elisha. I'm not. And I mentioned about Elijah last week, and I want to straighten something out. I heard one of the brothers come and say, well, Elijah Muhammad this, and Minister Farrakhan is this. This is not taking from Elijah Muhammad when I showed you Elijah in the Bible, what the word means. Elijah Muhammad have done a great work. Elijah Muhammad have said some things that go along with what I'm saying. It's almost like I'm teaching verbatim what Elijah Muhammad teach at times. Okay, so I'm not here to knock a great man by no means, but the work must go on. He didn't finish the work. The work have to go on. It's for us to pick up the table, other end of the table, and walk with it. And we got to understand that. So we can have a dinner with God, a day with God. And we have to see that as a people. Now, I give honor to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I said that he visited me in a vision. So why would I try to discredit a man that God sent to me to tell me, I see what you're doing, and I want you to build the building. So I want you to understand, never am I coming against a man that God has sent to me in a vision. Black folks, we got a long ways to go. We got to have our own land. We got to control our own territory. Democracy is not for us. And many don't want to hear that. Especially our black elected officials who striving for the last 150 plus years for democracy to work for them. Let's go more than 150. Let's just jump on up to what it is, 170 some years, okay? For democracy to work for us. But democracy has failed us. See, this nation was never intended for blacks and whites to own and control the political environment, although they let you in. But they didn't totally let you in. They let you in only enough to keep you busy while they work the hell out of you toward their goal. Now, most people, you may not like it, but like I say, I'm going to tell it like it is. Okay? Now, the word of God done told you that he's going to bring you out of a land. He's going to build you and bring you into a large land, a land with milk and honey. But democracy is telling you, we're going to fix it. We're going to give you a better job. We're going to make sure that we help you with some businesses. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And at the same time, on the streets, they whooping the hell out of your children. Even the adults catching it. See, last week I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the videos and looking at Black Wall Street, and I'm looking at all of this stuff. And I'm saying, and the length of time it's been happening, 400 years. See, they hung people back then, they hanging them today, 400 years. And the black man saying to the mass of the peoples in America, Black Lives Matter. Why you got to say Black Lives Matter? We already know that everybody that got common sense know Black Lives Matter, along with all other lives. See, we are always trying to prove something to the Eurocentric man. It's time out for proving stuff. Even in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they was trying to prove to the Eurocentric man, I'm a man just like everybody else a man. I'm this and that. They didn't get out of this one. You are sons of God, male and female. You don't have to prove nothing to no one. You're not lesser than anyone on the planet. You got to get that in your head. God made you sons. This Bible say ye are sons. And the scripture cannot be broken. So why would you debate with someone that's been engulfed in the Baal ideology for over 400 years and you trying to debate with Satan? Quit fighting with Satan and start looking up to God. See, this fight with Satan got to end, my people. You got to quit fighting with Satan and just get away from him and leave him the heck alone. Because ain't nothing happened for you if you stay like you are. And when God is telling you that you have to have a promised land of your own, and you sitting back here still trying to fight with Satan in the area of democracy. Understand the word democracy. Break it down, my people. It's a demonic word anyway. And you want to sit there and just, this is the best thing I got. I got my home I got to pay for. I got my job. I got to retire. Half of us that retire, a little more than half. Sometimes we be dead before we get to be 65. Dead. Because what? You done worked the daylight side. You done said, he done told you work, and get the American dream. And you've been working for that dream, and most of y'all, when you get to a certain age and retire, you're too sick to even enjoy the dream. And you're talking about American dream. Come on, my people. Enough is enough. You cannot sit here and keep on following this Eurocentric ideology when it's not for you from the Word of God. You got to change. You got to change. See, we're in moral sin. Why we're in moral sin? Let's deal with it. We're going to deal with the 4 areas of life. Moral, economic, social, political, dining appetite. There is no other areas of life that you live other than these 5 areas of life. That's why God gave you the 5 divine laws in the beginning when he created man. He blessed man, morals. He said, be fruitful, economic. He said, multiply, sociology. He said, subdue, political. And he gave you a herbal diet to eat. That was God's commandments. And all the other commandments, the 10 commandments and laws of war, everything is based off that. That's what God said to man. They never tell you that those are 5 commandments. They are 5 eternal commandments in this sphere of life, in this dimension of time. They are the laws of God. When you see them talk about the 10 laws of Moses, they're caught up in only 2 of those laws. In the first 4 laws of Moses, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy might. And the other 6 is love thy neighbor as thyself. Those are the 2 commandments that are moral and social. How about economic? How about political? How about diet and appetite? See, they ain't telling you that, and the Eurocentric man is hiding this to you because it's in the underneath in there, hidden in here. And they ain't teaching you that. So when you go and you don't have a balance in this area, you are sinning against your God. Because God told you what to do, and you are sinning against your God because you are following his morals and you are not looking at God for yourself. And what the morals is about? The separation from God, moral sin, the separate from God, saving grace. You have separated yourself from God, saving grace, because you are not walking in what God tell you to do. So you're not looking at your God. You are jumped in and grab hold to Serapis God and to Jehovah God, his Eurocentric God with his Eurocentric statutes. And you're following them. And ain't no need of you saying you don't, because I was caught up in the crap too. And I know what I'm talking about. We have to change this. We have to change this. Our fathers over in Africa, in the area of Egypt, knew God. The Bible says, blessed be Egypt, my peoples. And you got to see what the Bible says. Blessed be Egypt, my people. Come on now. Assyria, the works of my hand. And Israel, my anointed. See, you got to follow God. You got to be able to see this. I'm not trying to holler, really. I'm not trying to holler at all. But I really understand what Elijah was saying when he said enough is enough. People, either you're going to follow God or you just say you Satan. And you start following Satan and keep on. Because God get to the point where God get tired of talking to you. Although he loves you. And how he do it, he chastises people. And he sent chaos on you. And I'm trying to keep chaos from coming among our people. So you need to start listening. I'm not coming here on my own. I was visited by Majestic in a vision. That's who brought me here. That's who got me here. That's my testimony. That's why you hear me translating this Bible like I do, like nobody else. Because a God man got me before you to do what I'm doing. And the God man have me written aloud in the book. And it ain't matter what you think about it. It matter what it is. Because I love you. And I know he loves you. Now let's deal with it. You have been in moral sin because you have ran behind the Serapis God. You have ran behind the Eurocentric God. You have ran behind the God that Ptolemy I put together when he became the first Pharaoh of Egypt. Okay? And because of that, you have lost sight of who your God is. You have lost sight of who Melchizedek is. You have lost sight of who Thoth is. You have lost sight of who Allah truly is. Allah did not come into existence with Muhammad. Allah was always here. And you need to understand that. No Muslim brought Allah here. Allah was always here. So you got to have that understanding. You got to have that understanding. Now, economic sin. Evolution of sin from choice, economics. See, in an economic sin, God has said, be fruitful. And see, it is an ongoing process. As long as you're on this planet, you have to be fruitful. You have to control your own economics. But the black man refused to follow the will of God, refused to follow the law of God. He let the Eurocentric man create the economic world for him, and he became a worker. Just like in the prodigal son. You throw away your goods, you throw away who you were, and you became nobody when it came to the world affair compared to where you was. See, where you was the kings and the pharaohs and the people who ruled all the continents of the world. And now you begging the Eurocentric man for a job. Come on, my people. You begging him for a job. You go to school so you can work for him. And he send you to his best colleges so you could be a good Negro. Now, he's going to call you another word, but I'm going to use the word Negro. And see, it's enough. It's enough. See, you're supposed to be people of renown. You're supposed to be the aristocrats. But yet, you're the best basketball player in the United States, in the Eurocentric world. You're the best football player in the United States, in the Eurocentric world. It's time to change this. How about being the best king in the United States, in the Eurocentric world? How about being the best business executive in the United States, in the Eurocentric world? How about being the best scientist in the United States, in the Eurocentric world? See, that's what God is calling you out to be now, the greatest. Peoples are renowned. It's time out for letting somebody else run your land. It's time for you to control your own territory. It's enough land in this United States for us and them. And it's time for you to claim what belongs to you. Because in reality, a large percentage of you already own this land. Okay? So we're not asking you, I'm not asking you to get something that already belongs to you. You ain't got to see just the 40 acres in the mute. They had a large percentage, some of them say up to 80% of the slaves, the black slaves, was Native Americans. And only a certain percent came from Africa. So that means to tell me that they own your land. So how about getting some of your land back? And that's what God is saying in His word. He said a large land. It made me start thinking. You know, I talked about the 4 states, but seemed like what Russia said. The states all the way from North Carolina, all the way around, all the way over to Texas and stuff like that, is not about the same land in which the Confederate had. That should be your land. But time is going to tell the story, because God said in His word, a large land. Now let's see what time it is. Now, let's deal with the political sin. Greed, worth, gluttony, slothfulness, evil, lust, pride. See, all that is in our political environment. See, this man here, he's a real something else, people. And see, you see him and some of the white folks that are all friendly to you and stuff like that. And they're kind. But you know, I looked at the hanging of some people. I looked at the burning of a city. And I seen them same kind type people who shook the man's hand, who said good things about him, who bought and shopped at his stores, the black man's stores. I seen them same people having hanging parties. I seen them same people using their political system in a riot type way to cast judgment on innocent people. People who was innocent and later they found out they were innocent and they didn't care. They just said, let's hang the nigga. Let's get it. Let's take the law in our hand. See, this is what comes out of democracy. This is what comes out of the United States of America. And the black man and the black family got to wake the hell up. It's time, my people. It's time to wake up now. You don't have to cow down to nobody. You are over 40 million peoples on the continent. There's other people want to tie hands with you. China, Russia, all these other countries, and you're sitting down here talking about democracy. And God is talking about theocracy. And you're sinning and don't want to face the reality. You are in sin and God wants you to come out of it. But then your Baal preachers in the pulpit tell you, oh, that Negro don't know what he's talking about. Who is he? People, you're going to find out pretty soon who God has sent. Really, you are. If I'm who I am, you're going to find out pretty soon. Because it ain't what I'm going to do to you. It's what God is going to have others to do to you. See, the white man ain't going to be able to save himself pretty soon. God send Russia and China and other nations over here on your shores. See, America is a very powerful nation, and nobody wants the nation to go through this. I don't want this. But seem like it's inevitable. Seem like they ain't finna change. Just like in the prodigal son, the oldest brother refused to give his brother what due to him. He refused to do the right thing. And God sent the service. Now let's go and move on. Died in appetite, sin. Okay, what it is. These people got you eating everything. They put everything in the thing. They trying to kill you. But you don't realize that. This agenda to feed you anything and everything. Look at our people gaining so much weight. And diabetes and high blood pressure and all this stuff is falling on our people. And I'm not here talking about you if you got anything like that. I'm praying that, hey, God will teach you how to overcome these things. Eat differently. Change your diets, my people. Let's eat the right way. All of us. Me, you, and all the rest. I'm not talking about something about you. I can't talk about myself. The stone first fall on me. It falls on me. Diet and exercise, sin. Bad eating habits, refuse to exercise. Some of us, we get a certain age and we don't want to go to a gym. We don't want to go to a park. We don't want to get out front of that TV or that computer. All we want to do is work, come home and eat dinner, go to sleep. And sometimes find little things we could do. And God is telling us to take care of our temple. See, we have nice homes. Some of us have some of the nicest homes you can ever see. But our home that our spirit resides in, our temple, our sanctuary, we neglect it. And that's the main place. See, all that other stuff will burn up and be destroyed. But this temple gonna stay with you until you leave this sphere. It's the most important part of you, and we neglect it. And the Eurocentric man put everything in our convenience stores, everything in our stores, tell you you can eat this, you can eat that, when the Bible scripture tell you what not to eat. So you decide, I'm gonna follow the prophet of Baal. This tastes good. Yeah, through time, everything tastes better. You get used to eating it, but God is trying to tell us it's time to change, my people. It's time to be what he said you need to be. Okay? Now, before I go to this next area, I want to name these individuals. Clara Woods, Taylor family, the oldest White, Leon James, Daphne Taylor, Leon James, these individuals. And I think about two of them are new organization. We thank them. Along with the ones that have been faithfully here. We thank them and many others. So I can't get everybody on the board, but Sister Cynthia have you on the board at the end of our credit. Let you know how much we appreciate you. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank our supporters and our members of the organization. I thank all of you all. Now, we're going to go over here. Democracy is not a friend of the true Israel. It is a work of Satan. Now, most people, whoa, they'll come at that and say, oh, no, I'm not part of Satan. I'm trying to do what's right. See, your righteousness is like filthy rags. See, when you refuse to follow the will of God, you say in God we trust, but you're not following the laws and the commandments of God. And see, that would make you fall in the area of Satan. What is Satan all about? Satan is a made-up person that's created by the energy and minds of man. He's different from the devil. But he's real, but he ain't real. He's real only through the minds of man. When man is in opposition to God, they create Satan. That's who Satan truly is. God has showed me things. I have seen Satan, I have seen the devil, and I have seen Melchizedek. So I know what they look like, and I know all of this here. That's why I can say what I'm saying. Now, Exodus 3:8. And I am come down to deliver them. Who? Deliver Israel. Who? The Negro family. Why? Because he can't deliver himself. He can't fight against a Eurocentric man who run a government and one of the most powerful nations in the world, who got all the arms, who got all the food, got everything. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? There's nothing you can do. And that's why God, in this book, it talk about the prodigal son. God show you how it's gonna be done. You can't do it. You can't deliver yourself, black man and black woman, but you can walk in the will of God for your life. You can do that. You say, I am come down. Who? God is coming down. God movement. God gonna atheist movement that's going to come and deliver Israel, deliver the Negro family out of the land of Egypt. What land of Egypt? America. Out of the land of Egypt. This book was sent to America. It was sent to America. Okay? And to bring them, the Negro, up out of that land unto a good land and a large land. Unto a good land and a large land. That means that there's going to be a certain amount of states you're going to control. And a land, and I use the example here, a land the USSR say should be a nation state for Negroes. They already done said it. See, the reason I use them, not because I see them as being this or that, but I see them in China as being a servant in the Bible to these Negroes. A servant of God to these Negroes. A servant of people that have the power to come together along with other nations to rise up against this Egypt, this America. See, America, you may be powerful, but God put them together. You don't have no power over those nations. Them nations could wipe your behind out. Okay? And I'm not trying to say nothing because I don't like my nation, but I'm saying that we need somebody. When you got some people ain't acting right, you need some other people to step in and help them find themselves. So I'm not wishing bad on Americans. The first thing most Americans say, well, you against this or you, Look around you. Is America corrupt? Is America out of order right now? Look around you. You got a president that tell the crowd to get them out of here when that's the responsibility of the law enforcement. You have people in the political arena who passing the buck around instead of putting certain people in jail for the wrong that they have done. And then you talking about this nation is right? You got nations. You got in this nation one guy that ran for the U.S. Senate race, and what they did, they came at him because he wasn't part of the clique. And on one of his jobs, they gave him a $250,000 fine. When the fine should have been no more than $250. But he was black. And this nation did it. They had their lawyers and the judge sign off on it. Although the building that the gentleman done was complete, passed. And it's all it was a roof he put on the building to make sure he had enough money to get to the rally to speak. See, this is what they do. And see, black folks, they talking about the police. Man, the total thing is corrupt. It ain't just the police. It's the system. You got to change the system. The system is corrupt. Follow these laws, my people. Pick books up and start reading. Quit letting the news tell you what's best for the white man. It is best for you. Start reading. Get into true American history. Find out what was happening in the true American history, people. All they tell you in the history book of what they did. All the good things they did. They don't tell you all them laws they passed, the Jim Crow laws all the way back before Jim Crow era came, that they had against you and to benefit the Eurocentric man and to take from you. They don't tell you all them laws they sought up to help the Europeans that's coming over, immigrants that was moving over after you done been here approximately 250 years. They had the immigrants coming over and taking over that land that they had just won from Mexico, Texas, California, and all that, just giving them to. But they, at the same time, they wanted to ship you over to the Amazon and other parts of Africa. See, that's the same people who came and helped you think that democracy is the thing for you. When God is asking for a theocracy. We got to see this now. Come on, come on. He said, bring you up out of that land and bring you into a good land, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And we got to see this. Now, this next one. The true God is telling the Negro it is time. It is time to separate. Now, most people don't want to hear that. Because it's like the Eurocentric man got the black man tied to his umbilical cord. And the black man got to feed off everything he do, everything he give him and produce. He got to feed off that. He can't feed off himself. And see, that's what the sting of slavery will do to you. See, slavery still got, in a subliminal sense, the black man thinking that this is the only way, this is the best way to go. You got to give a sacrifice up. You got to become pioneers. See, when the pioneers come to a location, they come to a location and they work, and they build. And they don't look from where they came from, they look from where they're going. Black folks, you got to quit looking from where you came from, like Lot's wife, and look at where you're going. That's what it is. See, we got to see this because with help from the eternal, international world, a relationship with China and the Soviet Union will do us good. Now, what I'm saying, am I saying great size for China and the Soviet Union? No. I'm just saying, you got to level the playing field. Start being friends with other people other than during what the United States tell you to be friends with. You're a human being. You're a people of 40 million. You can start seeing other ideas, other things. This is a free world. And you got to start seeing this, okay? You're not saying, I'm turning my back on you, United States. You're just saying, hey, look, let's improve this United States. It's time for some territory of our own. If you want true democracy, well, let's put a little bit of theocracy inside that. And you don't want that, so we need to be on the territories that we could put some theocracy inside our democracy. Let's start out like that. Luke 15:18. I will arise. This is the prodigal son. Now, this is found in this book. Prodigal son. I think it's on around page 9. Where are we at? On page 99. You need to get this book, Judgment of America. And you need to get Black Nostradamus, but you need to get Judgment of America. And you need to read this. It will be helpful for you understanding the Bible better. Okay? Now, a prodigal son, if you read the story about the prodigal son was the one that if you look back at the biblical history, he was the one, the Nimrod. Okay? He built cities and countries and vast wealth and all of that stuff. He was the leading people, families and stuff of the day. Before the Eurocentric man ever came somewhat out of the cave environment and all this other stuff. So he was doing stuff. He was building stuff. But then time got on, he was overshadowed by the older brother, the other brother. You got Shem and you got Joshua. Not Joshua. You got Shem and Japheth. You got the older brother. And that older brother, as the story goes, sent this brother into the field. Now, this book was about America because, see, the Russian didn't send them into the field. The Europeans sent them into the field to feed the swine and put them in slavery. See, they try to make it seem like all white folks did it, but people, you need to read and study. Russia didn't have no slavery. Okay? China didn't go to Africa and slave no black man. But you had the Muslim world did, and the Eurocentric world did. And those are two religions you try to run behind more than anything else. Christianity and Islam. But those peoples enslave you. And Judaism. And they help. They're known as the prophets of the grove, those Jewish people. Okay. Now, in Luke 15:11, this is what was said, because this brother, he wanted to get out of that condition. So he talked to God and said, and I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. Now, what do it mean he have sinned against heaven? Because these laws, these ways that God told, these laws that God gave in the beginning, the moral law, looking at God, the true God for yourself, the economic law. Could they see these here? The economic law. Looking at all these things economically, building your corporation, building your cities, your towns, your community. The social laws is about building yourself and your peoples and all that. The political laws is about building your communities. And economic laws is building your corporations and your businesses and etc. And your diet and appetite laws is about building your farming area, the thing that you bring into your life, that you won't be in sin. He had been in sin. And he had been, in a sense, he said, and I will rise and go to my father. Who father? The Eurocentric father? No. To my father. I will rise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven. Because, see, our ancestors are looking at us. I have sinned against heaven and before thee. See, the ancestors know it's time for us to come out of this condition. And we are letting them down. So we got to quit letting our people down and start being who we are. And before thee. Because you sinned before God in the way you do things. Now, Luke 15:20. And he arose and came to his father, but when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion and fell on his neck and kissed him. Now, what is this saying? Now, if you could look at this and you could look at the working of the ox, you could look at the 400 years. See, we was a long ways from where we're at now, and God gave a spark to us during the Emancipation Proclamation. And when he gave us that spark, it gave us a little freedom for a little while. It started changing things. So he kissed us on the neck so we could come out of our condition. And since that time, we have been trying to be free. Although the Jim Crowism stayed there. But see, God knew that there's a time that he was going to give you what you needed. And that time have arrived at this time now. Luke 15:22. But the father said unto the servant, this is now, people, but the father said unto the servants, bring forth the best robe. What the best robe mean? You take that right hand, you put that robe on you. That's political power. Bring forth the best robe, political power, and put it on him. That means you got to come to have that political power, the best political power. That means you got to come in possession of a landmass. You got to come in possession of a nation. See, that's who it was. The prodigal son is you, black man, black family, is you. And you need to see this. And he said, put it on him. Now, listen to it carefully. But the father said unto his servants had to be a people with power. See, nobody wants to see. These servants are people with power. Who is challenging the Soviet Union and the other nations combined? They are people with power. And what is their responsibility? To help make the world whole. And God is going to use them. See, black man, you can't free yourself. You ain't got jack to do nothing with. You toting pop guns around here. You got no farm areas. You got no factories to build nothing. You can't war against this man. And God knows that. He see you. He seen you a long ways off. And he already done signed it up for the servants to do what they do. I didn't tell Russia to say what they said on NBC News and them people to say that. I taught the word of God. Way before Russia said that you need a Pan-African nation on American soil. I was telling you that before then. I'm just following God's will. And God is using these nations to do God's will. You sit around here and think that these white folks gonna have this thing like this forever. They ain't gonna have it. They're white folks, Eurocentric people. White folks don't exist on this planet. You sit down there just sitting there begging this man for stuff instead of building your own. Just like the brothers came out in 1921 and in that time they built a Wall Street for themselves. What is your problem? You should have Wall Streets in Atlanta. You should have Wall Streets in Jacksonville, Savannah, in North Carolina, in all these other places. In Texas, in Arizona, in Mississippi, in Alabama. You should have Wall Streets everywhere. Black Wall Streets. But is that happening? It's not. Why? What are you afraid of? Do you have a God or do you not? Because I say he's here, waiting on you to move. We have to see this, my people. We have to see this. And he said, and put it on him. And put the ring on his hand. That's social power. You got to get the ring on your hand, people. You got to know that this is for you. Your fraternities and your power structure and all that, your marriage and your family and all that got to be in line with God. So you can control your community. You can control your people. God wants you to have the control of your families, the control of your society, the control of your nation, the control of your people. And he's saying it in the word. Prove me wrong. Just look at it now. And shoes on your feet. That's economic power. And shoes on your feet. God is telling you that you got to build your own economic power. You got to have your own franchises. You got to have your own Black Wall Streets with your insurance companies, with your banking institution, with your financial institution. You got to have your own farmland. You got to have your own medical centers with the best doctors that existed. You got to have all these things. You got to be your greatest scientist that the world ever seen. That's what God is saying to you. You got to be a good people. This is what God is showing. Luke 15:23. And bring hither the fattest calf and kill it. And let us eat and be merry. Let us. See, God is including himself in here. Let us eat and be merry. You got to see that. Now, what do it mean by the fattest calf? More people think you're talking about eating food. Think about eating food. The fattest calf. That means you got to understand the divine arts. You hear me talk about Elijah, and Elijah told them to bring the bullock and cut it and dress it and put it on the wood. See, that's what that's about, the arts. More people think it's about economics, it's about power. It's about the arts. It's about running a society. See, the prophets of Baal ran every aspect of the society. And they was doing it, but they was not including the peoples of God in the benefits. And God wanted to change that. So God wants you to spin your own wheel, your own 400-year wheel, where you will teach people how to treat people right. And you'll treat yourself right. And many others right. See, God ain't fixing you just to think about yourself. He's fixing you up to think about the world. But first, you got to get yourself right before you can help get the world right. And that's what he's showing. And we got to see that. Luke 15:24. For this, my son. Okay, whose son is God telling him? See, you're the son of God. And it's S-U-N. But this, my son, was dead and is alive again. See, black man, you've been dead for a long time. 400 years you've been dead to the knowledge of what is. You've been following this Eurocentric ideology, this Eurocentric democracy and other ways they call themselves having their governments and systems. You have been following this so long And you ain't never knew nothing else. You like the slaves that's on the plantation. They never knew what freedom was. And they just had to stop, man. Harriet tell them, no, come on, let me take y'all to freedom. And they thought you were doing something, she was doing something wrong to them. And that's how the black man is right now, the black woman is right now. When I tell you that God wants you to have a theocracy, and you talking about let's go to the poll and vote for this in this democracy, see, you think I'm telling you something wrong. Because I want to take you off that Eurocentric man plantation and put you on your own land. See, you don't want to be taken off the plantation, just like those people at that time didn't want to go off the plantation. Although it was good that they went off the plantation, but they didn't know no better because that's all they ever knew. That was home to them. Their swimming hole was down around the corner. Their food was out there in the field. Their bed was over there in the little plantation house. And that's all they ever knew. The master and the environment. See, you got to come out of that. Some of you Negroes done traveled the world. You know that it's more to it than just here. And this thing here in highest rank. You got to understand that God has given you the power and that put you in the most powerful nation in the world so you could be the most powerful peoples in the world. See, black folks, you're the majority of the peoples of the world. You ain't no minority. If you get your act together, what do you think you could do? They're afraid of that. They're afraid of letting you get to that level because they know once you get to that level, their days are done when it comes to ruling over black folks. That's why they're so afraid of you. They're afraid of you right now because you right here. They're afraid of you from where you're going to be and how are you going to be. But with God with you, you could rest them assured. Ain't nothing to be afraid of. Just because you did that don't mean we're going to do that way. Just like you kill us like that don't mean we're going to go around and killing you like that. Now, if you refuse to get off our land and the Soviet Union and China is working with us to have our land, then whoa, I can't even tell you what may happen at that time, but I know that it won't be something to keep going because it ain't in your heart like that. You know. And I don't even want to discuss that. Whatever be, let it be. Like David Chappelle said, tap, 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 tap. We got to see what's going on, people. But this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be married. See, that's where God want to bring you to. He want to bring you from the dead. See, He want to resurrect the black man and black woman and black family and make you whole. That's what the goal is. That's what He showed me in the vision when I seen. I talked to God and I seen Melchizedek. And I seen my father. See, in my father's generation, they wasn't made whole. See, God wants you to be made whole now. And that's what time it is. Now, we're going to end this lecture. I want you to please go and read and understand what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And some of you who really like to be scholars, I'd like you to go all the way from 1619 and look at the different laws that was passed on black folks the whole 400 years. See, that's true American history. So you learn in history books certain parts of history, but you ain't learned true American history. You got to start taking some time and do your research, because you got plenty of time now. Ain't no football game to go and sit in front of the TV and look at, no basketball game, baseball game. Come on, my people. God didn't set you down like this for nothing. He didn't take you can't even go to your church, some of you. If you go there, you can't be with so many. So what is to do? It's time to say, well, God, why you did this? He wants you to know the truth now. He wants to take care of His people now. He wants your attention now. And this is what you got to see. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I love it. I had to open my eyes and look. I didn't like what was happening either. I said, oh God, what's happening? It's time for them to sit down, Lewis. It's time for them to listen to me, Lewis. It's time for them to know their God, Lewis. And you keep doing my work, Lewis. That's what I want. And that's what this is all about, my people. Now, we'd like you to make donations to the new book, $500 to support toward Hidden Secret, book called Hidden Secret. In there, your name will be in the book, and some of you who want to say a little phrase or something, that will be put in it. I have to edit it, but it will be put in there. Also, you can send your donation to Louis Armstrong Ministry, 7536 Jana Lane North, Jacksonville, Florida, 32210. Cross Rock Incorporated. You can send it to that same address, or you could go online to the mobile app to Give LaFi under Charitable on your mobile app and make your donation there. You also could go to PayPal. Go to PayPal at ArmstrongLewisJ@gmail.com. That's PayPal at ArmstrongLewisJ@gmail.com. We will be greatly appreciated for your donations, and people, please help this ministry out so we could bring truthism to you. And I know sometimes the things that I say is hard to swallow. A lot of the things I say you never heard before. God have given me this gift, and I utilize this gift. And I put checks and balances that you will see that is real. And you need to see this, and I like to say a little prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for giving me the ability to come before your people these days. Help them see the events that have happened in their life through time, Heavenly Father. But most of all, bless them. Bless their families, bless their health, bless their economics, Father. Just bless these people, Father, because they're yours. They're your children, black, white, all, etc. They're your children, Father. And they don't take away from the blessings. Don't. And I don't take away from it, and I thank you, Father, for being able to set me or put me in front of this audience to let them know that God's blessings is coming in all of our life. All we have to do is sit back and endure, and they're going to be around the corner. Thank you, Father, for you being God. Thank you, Father, for giving me an opportunity to come before your people, to let them know that you are in the midst. Your presence is here, and you love each and every last one. And I say this in the name of Jesus. And I thank you